we're going to be using the remaining part of this program to talk about readiness. And whatever we have started along the line of market, the rest assured will continue even when the program ends, only that we won't be meeting regularly, but whatever effort being made will continue. But this is critical for us to go through together so that even when we are done, you then know the area of improvement you need to work upon. The concept of readiness is very important to be able to enter the market and do export business in a successful and sustainable manner. If this is not taken care of, then it will become a challenge. As far as the progress of the business is concerned in the export market. This concept of readiness has been on for a while. USAID did a study some years back, and they identified some factors that determine readiness of a business in the export market. And they highlight the first one being the preparation of the exporter, which involves participation in export training programs. So one of the evidence of readiness is participation in export training program, which we have done already. Second is proven business model, which involve a review of the success of the business in the local market. When I get to the 15 export readiness criteria, this will be under positioning of the business in the local market. So that means my product right now, can I even sell it in the local market? If it's a product that can be sold, fantastic. If it cannot, then something is wrong. You know, recently I was in Sheraton Hotel in Abuja for a program, and I saw a product of one of you here, one of the members on this platform. Sheraton was putting it as one of the beverages in the rooms. And that was Master Tea, actually. They put it as just the way they would put tea in the room, you know? So that's an evidence that the product is already being sold in the local market. It's already been sold in the local market. So your product, is it acceptable in the local market? Because that's a sign that it will be acceptable also in the international market. Unless your product is a product that there's no demand in local market. For example, some commodities, there's no demand in local market. But if it's finished product, most likely there's a demand in local market. Then the third is the export experience. Have you exported before? Now, if you have not exported before, that's why you need to work with people who can help you to make it work. So this is where having a relationship with a partner become very important. Having a relationship with a partner become very important. You know? So third experience, export experience, which has to do with filling order from abroad. That means you have done the shipment before. Some of us, we might not have a continuous market, but at least you have shipped something abroad before. That's a step in the right direction in terms of readiness. Fourth is the health of the business. And this is examining the staff of the business and how long you have been in business. You know, businesses generally, the main business does not survive the first year, some second, some third, some do not even make it to the 5th year. If you have been lucky in year 1, year 2, year 3, you can't be lucky for 10 years. So when a business gets to 10 years, most likely the business knows something that is doing right. But someone can be lucky for 5 years, but it can't be lucky for 10 years. If there is something wrong with that business, after a while, the business will go into extinction. Then the budget, export budget, which involves if and what the company has budgeted for export. Do you have a plan to export? Someone said, I've been exporting regularly, but not as an official exporter. That's a good one. The fact that you are sending something abroad, even if you don't do the documentation, but the fact that you at least you have an idea of what it takes. So what you now have to do is to add those other documentation to it so you can improve on your process. Sixth is strategic vision. Number 5, budget. You must have a budget for export. Then strategic vision. What do you hope to achieve? Are you going to export market just to make money, or you want your product to go global? Or you want a legacy for your product? What's your objective in the export market? If the objective is just to make money, sincerely, you can make a lot of money locally. You can make a lot of money locally. That's why when there are challenges, people are not able to push through because there's no drive to go into the export market, actually. It's the in thing. I attended the seminar, so let me join them. Not because they really want to export. It's like an opportunity to export. Let me try it and see if it works. Let me try it and see if it works. Or because it's an opportunity to export. Seven, human resources. Your staff. Do you have a dedicated staff for export? A dedicated staff for export. That means if you have staff, do you have someone that handle export? Or that will be handling export as you start? Along with you being in charge. 8 is the competitive edge that examines the adaptability of the product and what is unique about the product being exported. You might need to amend your product, like I've made recommendation in our previous sessions. Maybe label in French, improve on your packaging or labeling. You might need to adapt your product for the export market. Adaptability of the product. And then the production capacity. You know, I've said this before that you don't need to set up a bigger factory, but you should have a way of collaboration that will make you to be able to meet demand if the demand grows. That's if your factory is not big enough to meet that demand. Do you have any collaboration process in place? Now, before I go into the detail of the readiness, let me talk again about, this was discussed during the seminar, but we'll review it again. Where you export and you constantly have delay in shipment, delay in payment, delay in documentation, any delay that happens frequently, not just it happens occasionally because of something you didn't plan for, but frequently, that means you've not developed skill or capacity to be able to tackle that challenge. It's a sign of lack of export readiness. If the buyer always complains about the quality of your goods. Someone said my product adaptability to US market is the inclusion of product quality in pounds. Yes, that's one of them. Yes, when you put LBS weight on your product, that's one of them. If you're going to the US market, you know you can't be talking about kg, you have to talk about pounds. So if your buyer is always complaining, you did the shipment 5 times, buyer complained 5 times about the packaging or quality of your product, it's a sign of lack of export readiness. The fact that you have challenge understanding some documentation, understanding the process, which is a depth of knowledge, is a sign of export readiness. You have exported before, You know, I was in Kano recently, a bank was doing an event. I went to talk to their customer, and I met a particular man who has exported before. You know, when I was talking about this issue of lack of export, he came to me and said, look, Dele, I'm one of the dropout. He said, I'm one of the dropout. So he has exported charcoal before, but today he's no more exporting. That's a sign of lack of export readiness. Drop out of export. Constantly having losses. You ship 4 times, 3 times, you have losses every time. It's a sign of lack of export readiness. You have discrepancy in your documentation, which ultimately cause delay. It's a sign of lack of export readiness. That means you don't understand documentation well enough. You have demurrage. Whenever you have delay at the port, you will have demurrage. Demurrage is the fee paid for the usage of container beyond the free period while container is in the custody of the shipping line. So the idea basically is this. There are characteristics that make a business not to be ready for export market. And having been in this industry for a while, I've realized that if this problem is not tackled, even if you get buyer and you do 1 or 2 shipments, you realize you're not able to do subsequent. Why? Because really, you were not ready. There will be one issue or the other that discourage you or deter you or prevent you from going ahead because you really were not ready ab initio. So I reviewed a number of literatures on how to evaluate readiness of a business for international market. And I collated the report of my review. And like I said, I've told you before that that's formed the basis for my thesis for PhD, for my PhD program. And the idea is, look, if there is a problem, we need to find answer to it and find solution to the problem. And that's why I will be talking about this today. And by the way, the result of this has been expanded in a book. The book will be released in April. You will get to know when the book is released in April. Just to design a manual that can make it easier for people to assess their readiness and to explain further on each of the criteria, because I'll be mentioning about 15 areas and I will take my time to explain them because I could really not explain them during the seminar itself because of the shortness of time. But now I will take time to explain them, hoping that between now and April, I will have been able to exhaust them. There are 15 areas of readiness identified, and they were categorized into company characteristics, capacity of the company, that's of the exporter, characteristics of the country of import, and companion, which are partners. Partners that can work with the exporters. Now, there are 5 factors for company characteristics, 5 factors for capacity of the business, and 3 factors for country characteristics and the companion 2 factors. So here are the factors. So what we would do is to take each of these factors one after the other. So I'm hoping if we do, there are 15 of them, if we do 3, in the next, we have the role of March and April. So that's about how many Saturdays? Let me look at it. How many Saturdays in March? Saturdays in March are 4. And Saturdays in April are 4. That's 8 altogether. So if we do 2, 2, we should be fine. So today I will focus on promoters and see if I can do product. But from next week, we'll do 2-2. Under each of these, so we have promoters under the company characteristics. You as the promoter, are you ready for export? The product, are they ready for export? Your pricing, is it right? Do you have staff that have predisposition to export? An inclination towards export, maybe because they school abroad, or they've traveled abroad before, or they speak a second language, something that just connect them to outside world beyond Nigeria. And you as a CEO, what is the purpose of you wanting to go abroad? Then the business must have some characteristics, some capacity rather, in terms of promotion, proficiencies, production capacity, funding or payment capacity, and also positioning in the local market. In the export market, you need to know the people. That's a sign of readiness. You know the regulation and documentation. That's a sign of readiness. And you have an idea of the potential of your product in the export market. Still, companion in the export market, the purchasers who will buy, and partnership. And there are different kinds of partners: marketing partner, legal partner, logistic partner in the export market. So we'll take them one by one. Now, who is the promoter? Promoter is the owner of the business. Please, as I go along, if you have a question, do not hesitate to drop it in the chat. Don't wait till the end, please. Do not hesitate. I want it to be very interactive. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, drop a message in the chat. Let me be sure. You know, it's night, and some of us have gone for Owambe. Let me be sure we are still together. If we are together, please drop a message in the chat. Let me be sure I'm not alone here. Okay, I can see Boss said there. I can see Okikiola. Who else? I can see Adeola. Who else? Who else with us tonight? Only 3 people are with us. There are 7 people joining me here, making 8, but only 3 people are with us. The other people. Oh, Victoria said I'm not alone. Thank you very much. Okay, from Kebble Joko Shielda. Okay, I think everybody is with us. Okay, thank you. All right. I just want to be sure I'm not talking to myself, even though the class is being recorded, so that you can, it will be good for you to listen to it afterwards, because this is on market access, and to be able to get into the market and export in a successful and sustainable manner, you need to be able. You need to be able to, first of all, be ready. Like I said, the reason why someone said I've exported before, but that business, I don't like it, the risk is too much. That business, I don't like it, I lost money. That is because the person is not ready. Dropout is a sign of not ready for the business. Promoter. Now, who is the promoter? The owner of the business. And I believe majority of people with me tonight are promoter of their businesses. I assume I'm right. We are all promoters. Am I right? Kindly say yes if you are right. Drop a yes. Okay. I can see some yes already. All right. Someone said I have been transacting informally with a client in the US. How can I switch to formal transaction with such client? When you say informally, that means you do not do any documentation. Okay, Kiola, am I right? Okay, Kiola, am I right? Okay, yes, okay. That means you need to learn documentation. To switch, you just begin to open NXP and do documentation and make it formal instead of informal. Someone is asking a question. Please, how can Demoli be a sign of non-readiness? All those signs of non-readiness, if you have it occasionally, let's say I do 10 shipments in a year, I have it once or twice, it's okay. because there are circumstances that can make it happen. But if it's a regular thing, it's a sign of lack of readiness. So how can a demurrage be a sign of non-readiness? Demurrage means every time I'm having delay, and that delay is making me to incur more cost. Demurrage is an extra fee paid for delay at the port. So if I'm delayed every time at the port, it's a sign of lack of export readiness. Now, for example, you did a shipment, you had an issue at the port, first shipment, there was delay for some days. Then you do the second one, you have the same delay again. Something is wrong. That means you have not been able to fix the problem you had before. Not being able to fix that problem before is a sign that the person does not have the knowledge to fix it, or he doesn't have the will or funding to fix it. Those are signs that the person is not ready. NXP means Nigeria Export Proceed Form. Not S as in son, X as in xylophone. Someone said, I do issue pro forma invoice, and we make it formal by email. No. Formal means, in Nigerian context, means your shipment is registered with the government. It's registered with the government. That means CBN have a record of your shipment. And the only way they will have a record is if you do NXP. Yes. If CBN does not have a record of your shipment, you are not doing NXP. You know, there's a lady working with a big multinational in Nigeria. He has a mandate to increase exports in the organization. But guess what? Every time he made effort to want to attend a training program or go for trade mission, the management will not approve for her to be trained. She's given a mandate to grow export business of this company. She doesn't have the capacity. She wants to go and learn. They are not ready to train her. She suggested they need to vote some money. Yes, Okikiola, unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Mr. Bamdele. Well done on the job you are doing. My question is, am I loud, please? Am I being heard?
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my question is, already I have the export license certificate. So I don't know, I will need to pick up an NXP form to perform. I just thought once I have the license, but I'm now thinking, how do I transit to? So I will just need, I think, a little bit of a, what's it called, tutoring on how to pick up the form and the ways to go about it, to be able to, because I have clients in Vietnam.
If you have attended the seminar that was done for this program, you should have been taught.
Yeah.
So you can discuss with.
We have been taught, really. We have been taught, really.
With what's the name? With Titi, the video. Okay. They have the version. They recorded that session. If you can give you the video, so you can watch it again.
Okay.
If you after watching it, you have questions, you can ask me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Sir, please, I will need more clarity on how to pick up an NSP form. You don't pick it up physically again. Before now, you pick it up with your branch. Your bank will get it from the head office for you. But today, you pick it up online. You just go online and fill the form. You just go online and fill the form. So it's not a physical form again, it's not electronic. So this lady, the organization was not ready to. This lady did a research that revealed that she needs to regularly send sample to different prospective buyers in different markets. His organization is not ready to spend that money. Can you see the sign of lack of readiness of management? She wants to develop herself. She needs support. The organization is not supporting her. She wanted to get a consultant to complement her effort. They were not ready to do that. and she has other mandates in her local sales. So she just focuses on it because she's not able to perform the way she would have loved for the export. I'm just giving you instances where the management want to export in mouth, but not in deed. And I hope that's not the situation of someone here who want to export, but they are not willing to go all the way. She wants to send sample abroad. That will cost money. You will, for those of us that our products are good enough, you will definitely have to incur some money to send sample abroad later on. You must be ready to spend that money. It's called the cost of market development. It's called the cost of market development. It's called the cost of market development. The willingness to go abroad and the ability to go abroad are important characteristics of a promoter. Willingness is seen in the commitment, and ability is seen in the knowledge, in the skill and competence. A promoter can be willing and not ready. A promoter can be ready, but not willing. He might be willing, but not able, and not ready. A promoter that is willing, but able, and is not ready. He's willing, is able, but not ready. He doesn't want to do it now. A promoter can be neither willing nor ready, nor able. So some people are willing, they are ready, but they are not able. That means they can't fund it. If you cannot fund it, there is no point starting. Just wait for you to have the funding to start. There's no point. So that you won't get underway and there's something that needs to be done, and then you say you can't raise the money for it. So let me give you an example. If you are going to sell your product abroad, I would recommend you have a budget of at least ₦1 million. I would recommend you have a budget of at least ₦1 million. That means you already have a product, you have factory, but a budget of at least ₦1 million for market development. If you can't raise that money yet, it's okay. It's okay. But just know you are willing, ready, but not able. Not able. And that's fine. You can always work towards raising that money sometimes in future. But if you are not ready to stake that kind of money in market development, sincerely, it might be tough. Now, another way you can do this is to get investor. You know, I've said something before. I said, look, please, you don't need to be the exporter. So if you realize that, okay, this product has potential, you can engage an investor who will be the exporter. Let him spend the money to develop the market, and he will be buying from you. It's still your product. You are now an indirect exporter. So if you can get an investor who will fund it, good. So don't, which is the whole idea of having partnership. Brilliant. Someone said, what do you spend 1 million on? Apart from the fact that you have your product, if you want to do the shipment, you might need up to 600,000, 700,000, 800,000 to ship by air, depending on how large your minimum order is. That is after you have incurred costs to pay an agent at destination who is helping you look for market, or to send sample to a rep at destination. So you might need to pay an agent at destination, and you might need to send sample. So the product sample you are sending, the cost of courier, the cost of getting an agent, and the cost of even doing the initial shipment itself. Adiola, I'm sure that's clear, right? Because that's a very important question. So it's very important that we understand that the willingness must be there, but more important, the ability. But like I said, in the ability, please, you do not need to be the one to do the funding. Please, let's learn to collaborate. I emphasized this a lot during the physical class we had. Let's learn to collaborate. There's just something so important about collaboration. You can't do away with it. We are trying to set up a branch in the UK. I've called several people I want to work with. I needed information. And I've already started identifying individuals, organizations I will be able to work, apart from my partner that I currently do business with in the UK. Why? Collaboration. Collaboration. So look for investors who will be able to fund what you're doing. Very important. Very, very important. Another very important characteristic of promoter is ready for export business is having basic knowledge, skill, competence to handle the transaction. That's why this training was done. Now, if that training that was done, please, that training that was done, you don't think you have learned everything by that training alone. Get the audio or video from Titi, listen to it again and again. If you have to listen to it 10 times, please do. You know, sometimes you just attend a training, you think you have learned it. When push comes to shove and you need to put it into practice, you realize most of the things you learn, you can't remember. Because it is in the practice that it stays with you. So please chat Titito, if you already put it online, so you can get link to it, play it again and again, download it on your phone, listen to it several times. Let it become part and parcel of you. Like Okikiola was asking about documentation. Someone said, what do I need? What I do is send sample free, but the client pay for the shipping. Good. That's a good arrangement. Sometimes you have to pay for sample and pay for the shipping. Sometimes the buyer will pay for sample and shipping. Sometimes you share, like the case of Okikiola. So there is need for knowledge to manage the business and supervise the staff that handle the transaction. You know, if you do not know about the business well enough, your agent, even your staff can mess you up. Your agent, even your staff can mess you up. So the checklist. How will you describe your commitment as a business owner to export business, to managing the export business? How will you describe it? How will you rate yourself on scale of 5? Rate yourself on the scale of 5 being highest and 1 being lowest. How will you describe the commitment of your management to export? How committed? Remember, I've defined commitment for you. Commitment means you are ready to put your money in it. How will you describe the management desire to sell in foreign market? How experienced and familiar is the management or the owner of the business? Is the management international business? How experienced or familiar? Have you done it before? Have you worked in a place where they've done it before? Do you have any idea of what bill of lading, invoice, packing list is? Do you have any information around that at all? How experienced and familiar is the management international business? How will you describe the skill of the business owner to manage the transaction? You are the business owner. How will you describe your skill to manage the transaction? Now, if you don't have the skill, that's why you engage someone that have the skill. You engage an agent, a consultant that have the skill. But don't hire people to manage while you are not doing it. Because anytime you hire people, the objective is to learn so you can become independent. You also, please strive to ensure that in your business, you are not dependent on people for so long. For example, either you hire a staff to do the job, so you are in charge, or you learn it yourself and do it. So that means whoever is teaching you is supporting you. So if you're exporting, for example, you can get an agent to do everything for you. But after a while, you should be able to open your own NXP yourself. You should be able to book with the shipping line yourself after a while. So by the time you do 2, 3, 4, 5 shipments, you should be able to handle it yourself. Why? It's better you handle it yourself because you are then in charge. It saves you cost. It helps you to be the master of your game. You will still need an agent, anyhow, because there's some area of the export operation that an agent will need to deal with customer. You are not registered with customer, so he's not an agent. But at least let it be that 80%, 90% of the operation is under your control. Maybe it's just the 10% area that someone else handles for you. When you are in charge, it's easier to manage. It helps you to learn. You can also transfer that knowledge. In fact, let me tell you, even if you hire a staff to do something for you, if that staff know how to do it and you don't know how to do it, the day that staff leaves you, you'll be in trouble. So when you are hiring, before you hire a staff to do anything, you should be able to do it yourself. You should be able to do it yourself. So that means if the person is sick, the person is not coming, the person is not available, your business will not suffer because of a staff negligence or a staff inadequacies or a staff resignation. Your business will not suffer because of that. So you need to have skill. How will you describe the disposition of the management to fund? That's a commitment. To fund export transaction. That's a commitment. That's a commitment. So for a promoter to move from the point of lack of interest in export to the point of commitment, there is need for continuous exposure to appropriate stimuli. The more you learn about export, the more you get interested. If you are not willing, if you get more and more exposed to information on export and the opportunities, there is no better time to export than now. Do you know CBN have announced for every dollar you bring into Nigeria, they will give you 65 naira. How many of you are aware of that? How many of you are aware of that? If you export value-added manufactured good out of Nigeria and you process your NXP, Kiola say, I'm aware. Any other person? So you make money from dollar differentials. CBN will give you money saying, well done, good and faithful exporter. Well done, good and faithful exporter. So there are more reasons why you should export and do all your documentation. Unless you are doing a trial shipment by air, that might not involve a lot of documentation. But when you are doing sea shipment by sea, do your NXP. Do your NXP. Do all your documentation. CBN will give you extra money for bringing back the money to Nigeria. Is that not interesting? There's no better time to export than now. So that interest should be there. That interest should be there. When you are exposed to the information on export, it creates awareness about the huge opportunity available for the company and its product in the export market. When you continually expose yourself as a promoter to the stimuli, which is the information, it generates interest to go global. A further exposure moves you from interest to desire. As the exposure continues to increase, you move from desire to taking a step, to taking action. To taking a step, to taking action. This is very important. So the more the knowledge a promoter has in export business, the lower the level of uncertainties that the promoter perceives. And the promoter is now willing to take more risk. Because he has known so much now, the uncertainty reduces, and then he's willing to stake more. He's willing to stake more. He's willing to stake more. This is very important, ladies and gentlemen. Or ladies, no gentleman here. I'm the only gentleman. Okay, so I think I will only be able to take only promoter today. So from next week, we'll take 2. We have 14 to go. So by the end of April, we should be rounding off. And the idea basically is that, so we can begin to know, am I ready? Is my product ready? Is my pricing ready? Is my, give all this area of readiness, we're going to review them one by one. Why is that necessary? So that we will be able to easily assess the market. We'll be able to easily assess the market. Now, one of the costs, the question that Diola asked, one of the costs also is traveling. You might need to travel. You might need to travel. You might need to travel. So if you need to travel to meet the buyer, I remember a client got a contract from China some time ago, a big contract to supply product, and they needed to meet physically to sign the agreement because it was going to be a long-term contract. And he want to ensure he doesn't make mistake. So we had to travel together. So he took me to China. I had to go with him to China, and we're there for some days. You know? That's a cost. Someone said, can you briefly share other criteria that make one ready for US? No, not just US, for any market. The criteria we are sharing is for any market because the characteristics is the same. Only that the peculiarity is what is different. If I talk about paperwork, paperwork is a sign of export readiness. You know the paperwork. Paperwork for UK will be different from US. So that's the peculiarity. But the fact is that the principle is still the same. You need to know the paperwork. So, but it's different from Francophone country. No, let me explain. So for product, for example, if I'm shipping to Francophone, one of the things, principle under readiness of product is adaptability. Adaptability. For US, I need to put my weight in pounds. For Francophone country, I need to put my weight in, I need to put my language in French. It's still the same principle of adaptability of products. So it's still, the way you apply the principle in different markets are different. The way you apply in different markets are different. But the principle is the same. Translation to French is one of the criteria under product readiness, readiness of a product. Translation to French, labeling of your product in pounds. They are all signs of readiness of product. So all of them fall under product. And we're going to be discussing that next week. All right, let me allow you to ask questions. If you have questions, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. You can unmute yourself and ask your question, or if you have comments. Okay, let me ask question. Since nobody is asking me question. Diola, what have you learned this evening? Hello, Diola, are you there?
I've learned a lot. I've learned on documentation,
Okay.
on my being ready, willing, and able,
Yes.
and on collaboration.
Collaboration. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okiola, you were unmuting yourself. Go ahead.
Yes, so I've learned a lot this evening, especially the fact that I don't know how I got to miss it. During the trainings, I knew we were told you had to pick up an NXP form, but then I was not as ready as this, so I didn't really take it into cognizance, you know. So now at least attending this session alone tonight made me realize that's what I've been missing. Because I've been like, let me be able to transit from being an exporter to a confirmed exporter, you know. So I've really seen the missing link tonight, and I'm really going to work on it.
Please do. Please do. Please do. Any other comment? Boss Nwachi, what did you learn tonight? Hello, Boss. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Yes, sir. I learned about being ready for exports. That's a promoter, that your staff, have you been able to train your staff? That's, are you ready? Then documentation, then collaboration, which I think I want to go to for collaboration. I want to collaborate.
Please
because
do.
I'm a producer and I don't want to stress myself too much. I want to collaborate.
You get the point. You get the point. You get the point. Collaborate. Collaborate. Thank you. Feishara, good evening. Are you there? Hello, Feishara. Good evening. Okay, Feishara is not with us tonight. Funke, good evening.
Hello.
Okay, Feishara.
I'm here.
Okay, good evening. What have you learned tonight?
So much. Just like others have mentioned, am I willing? Am I ready? And am I capable?
Yeah.
So I need to look again and again into it. And the issue of collaboration and commitment. So these are part of things I learned tonight.
All right, thank you. Funke. Good evening, madam. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Actually, one of the things that you mentioned, because we officially made our first shipping to the UK. And at a stage, I was saying to myself, is it over Sabi that why am I ready getting that involved in it? But just
getting involved how?
Pardon?
Getting involved how?
Okay, like I went with the product. I was at the airport.
Brilliant.
Because I said to myself, I really want to even know this,
yes.
know, what is the procedure? How do you go about this? You know, yes. That sort of thing. But at a stage I was saying, why are you actually getting this involved? Although we went with someone that we have said, you have to anchor the export market. So at a stage I thought, probably I should have even allowed this young man to do it all by himself. But with what you have taught us tonight, I saw that, well, that wasn't really being too over Sabi. Yes. It's actually what is expected of us, that you should know about it yourself, you know, that sort of thing. Although you are still going to be in charge of whoever it is you have hired, you should have a good knowledge of it.
Yeah.
And one other thing that that you have spoken about, which I was saying to myself, the bit about the documentation, the NXP or whatever, and you said we should get back to TT to make sure. I think I will need to go through that, because I'm not too sure how very conversant I am with NXPs, because we didn't do it for the air freighting.
When you want
but for sea freighting, we know we have to do it.
The shipment you did, sorry to cut you. The shipment you did was
how is what I will need to go and check again.
Okay.
Thank you.
The shipment you did was air freight and it was not very large. That's why you could do it.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
It's very faint. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Can anybody hear me, please? Hello?
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
You are very
Oh, okay.
clear.
That means maybe it's the device of Madam Funke.
Okay, maybe. Sorry.
Okay. So I was saying that because the shipment you did was not so much, so you could do it by air, and the emphasis on NXT was not very important because it's small quantity. So by the time you want to do large quantity, maybe by sea, or maybe you're doing like 3, 4, 5 tons by air, then of course this become very important. So you would definitely have to learn, and because it can easily take you through that process at that time. But it's good you have that at the back of your mind that it's something you want to do. I hope they've cleared it.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's, thank you very much. It's been cleared, and it's
You have a little issue being the first time. Over time, it will be easier.
Yeah. It was quite okay. It went through a bit of a damage to some of the products, but then it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. One of the things. Okay, maybe
Go ahead.
people also could learn.
Go ahead.
Was one of the key comments our partners made was that, oh, the cartons were too dusty. And in all honesty, I was a bit, I was very surprised the conditions of where we actually do our export from. It wasn't too
at the
nice.
airport, right?
It was at the airport.
Yeah, that's
I was expecting the environment to be a little bit saner than what I found it to be.
Yeah, very correct.
It was too much of a jungle.
Very correct.
I'm sorry.
No, you're right.
Sorry.
No, but that's the reality. That's
Yeah.
the way this thing should have been done is people are on queue when it's your turn, everything is done for you, and then move to the next. So everybody just doing things haphazardly. I agree with you. I mean, you are very correct. You're very, very correct. All right. Shilda, anything to say tonight? What did you learn? Hello, Shilda. Okay, Shilda is not there. Taiwo Monsurat. Hello, Taiwo. Hello, Taiwo, are you there? Okay. Victoria, good evening.
Good evening, Mr.
Good evening, madam.
Yes.
Go ahead, please. Just discussing what we learned tonight. Hello? Okay, it's 10 already, so it's time for us to close. Like I said, next week, we are going to handle 2 more, and we'll do two every Saturday till we round off. But the sample that was sent abroad with the pictures, we are waiting for the feedback, both in Canada and US. I'm hoping we should be able to get a feedback on how we're going to proceed in the month of March. But it's good we have all these conversations so that when those demand begin to come, we're also ready.
Sometimes the important ones get pushed behind, you know. So now that you have reminded us, we need to get Madam Titi to give us the video that is quite relevant to what you're teaching us now.
Yes. All right, thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. See you next week, and bye-bye.